What's up, podcast listeners, and welcome to Rainbow Hollywood. I'm Caleb Law, and this is my first time doing it on YouTube, and I'm going to tell you about some latest news updates for entertainments. So, first one up, it's from Hollywood Reporter. The Marvel Comics digital game counts on Newverse as its publisher, which, like TikTok, is owned by the Chinese conglomerate ByteDance. The TikTok divest or ban bill has come from Marvel. In a surprise side of a bill that forced TikTok to go dark Saturday night, the digital game Marvel Snap has also gone offline. The game was developed by the American independent gaming company Second Dinner Studios in conjunction with the gaming publisher Newverse. Newverse, however, like TikTok, is owned by the Chinese conglomerate ByteDance. Nonetheless, the developers of the games were caught off guard when the game went offline. The Second Dinner Studio said in a statement, "Unfortunately, Marvel Snap is temporarily unavailable in US app stores and is unavailable to play in the US. This outage is a surprise to us and wasn't planned. Marvel Snap isn't going anywhere. We're actively working on getting the game up as soon as possible, and we'll update you once we have more to share." Marvel Snap launched in 2022 to positive reviews and sees players compete in an online Marvel universe with digital decks of cards that contain special powers per the company. When visitors opened the app or went to the Marvel Snap website, it showed a message indicating that the game was currently not available in your country or region. Marvel, of course, is owned by the Walt Disney Company. Through the shutdown of Marvel Snap is unlikely to have significant impact of the company's bottom line. The company licenses its IP, including the Marvel Comics and Marvel Cinematic Universe characters, to a number of game developers for different games. TikTok went dark in the US Saturday night as the divestiture bill was set to become law. While the app is online for now, the company wrote that we are fortunate that President Trump has indicated that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned. Trump has indicated that he wants to try and bring TikTok back, though in what capacity and by what means remains unclear. Claire Van Kampen, theater director and the wife of the actor Mark Rylance, had died after being diagnosed with cancer. She was 71. Rylance and her daughter Juliet confirmed in a statement to People that she died surrounded by family in Kassel, Germany, on Rylance's 65th birthday on Saturday, January 18th. Claire Louise Van Kampen, Lady Rylance, had died this morning, Saturday the 18th of January at 11:47 in the ancient town of Kassel, Germany, surrounded by her family, the family announced. Claire has died of cancer on Mark Rylance's 65th birthday. Her youngest daughter having died in 2012, she leaves her eldest daughter Juliet Rylance, her two husbands, and countless beloved friends in England and America. Claire was described as one of the funniest and inspiring women we have ever known by her family. We thank her for imbuing our lives with her magic, music, laughter, and love, they added. Claire has been diagnosed with cancer before her death, BBC News reported. She was born in London and trained at the Royal College of Music, studying piano and music theory. Embarking on a music career, Claire joined the Royal Shakespeare Company in 1986, where she became the first female musical director, according to the outlet. The following year, Claire joined the Royal National Theatre, where she met Rylance. while working as a musical director for a play as he appeared in, per Sky, per Sky News UK. She later became the associate to the artistic director Rylance at the Globe Theatre, where she worked for 20 years. The pair married in 1989, and Rylance became stepfather to Claire's two daughters, shared with her late ex-husband, Christopher Van Campen. Her youngest daughter, Natasha, tragically died at age 28 following a brain hemorrhage in 2012, per Sky News. In recent years, Claire worked as a Globe Associate and Senior Research Fellow for Early Modern Music at the Globe Theatre and a Creative Associate at the Old Vic Theatre in London, BBC News reported. Rylance said of his late wife in 2023, per The Guardian, Claire completely changed my life. She introduced me to that world of classical and modern music, and it was very much around music that we fell in love. Claire came to me with two children who I'm raised with her and Chris, but we never had children of our own, so to some degree. Our projects have never been our children. They are incredible. He continued, adding of his wife that she's the rock of his life. Yeah, that those two previous DS slash Fox project okay that those two previous DS slash Fox projects were a sports drama and a musical may indicate why back of action subtext about glamorous professionals returning to what they do best falls a little flat. Yes, both stars appeared in their share of lightweight entertainment, like the wankingly cartoonish Charlie's Angels, or the caper-like horrible bosses. But their eclectic careers haven't been dominated by the kind of star-studded, instantly forgotten sort of action, sort of comedy that has flourished on streaming in recent years. Earlier this month, Disney released a brand new comedy sitcom called Shifting Gears, which stars Tim Allen as Matt, the stubborn, widowed owner of the classic car restoration shop. When Matt's estranged daughter and her kids move into this house, the real restoration begins. The series has already been a huge hit for Disney, as the first episode pulled over into 17 million viewers across ABC, Hulu, and Hulu on Disney Plus, making it ABC's best new series launched in over 6 years since October 16th, 2018 with The Connors. Disney has released some viewing data from Nielsen that states after 7 days of viewing on ABC, Hulu, and Hulu on Disney Plus and digital platforms, ABC's acclaimed new comedy Shifting Gears has revved up to a total cross-platform audience of nearby 17 million total viewers, representing a 173% of lift over the show's initial live plus same-day delivery. The show is the most watched ABC series premiere on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus, based on the views in its first 7 days on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus. Currently, the show hasn't been released on Disney Plus in other countries, which will drive the show's viewership even higher. Excluding linear encores, Tim Allen's triumphant return to ABC as Matt, the stubborn, widowed owner of a classic car restoration shop, garnered 12.45 million total viewers and 2.94 rating in adults 18 to 49, growing 101% in total viewers over the show's live plus same-day audience, and 339% in adults 18 to 49. On Linear, Shifting Gears earned an impressive 7.82 million total viewers, becoming one of the most watched broadcast series premieres of the season and growing markedly over the show's initial live plus same day audience, where it topped the night in total viewers among adults 18 to 49. Shifting Gears earned an 0.87 rating, standing as the strongest premiere of the season in a key adult demographic, excluding NFL inflated latents. Tim Allen executive produces alongside Michelle Nader, Marty Adelstein, Becky Clements, Richard Baker, Rick Messina, John Preskin, Jim Patterson, Bob Daly, John Amadou, John Amadeo, sorry. Pasquin also directed the pilot episode. Mike Scully and Julie Thacker Scully are executive producers on the pilot episode. Kat Dennings is a producer. The ABC series is produced by 20th Television. The first couple of episodes are available to stream now on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus, and a new episode is being released every Wednesday on ABC and next day both on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus. Roger's take. There's little doubt that Shifting Gears has had a successful launch, and it'll be interesting to see if it can maintain that viewership, as it's likely to drop off a little, which it is normal for any show. With so few sitcoms being released at the moment, Shifting Gears is scratching an inch that most streaming services aren't offering. It also shows why leaning on it also shows why leaning in on more traditional type of shows can still be a huge hit for a linear channel and streaming service, but Disney needs to give this show time to grow if it ever wants to become as popular as other sitcoms like Last Man Standing, Broke Girls, or Home Improvement. Built by Thomas Ince, the silent film studio stood where Sunset Boulevard meets the coast and gave John Hirschholt his big break. Southern California has long endured devastating fires, with the Palisades and Eden fires counting as two of the most destructive blazes in its history. More than a century ago, a series of fires in what is now in Palisades laid claim to Inceville, one of the most film studios. The studio was founded in 1912 by Thomas Ince, a producer, director, and mogul during the silent film era, built where Sunset Boulevard now intersects the Pacific Coast Highway. The grounds, spanning 18,000 acres and housing 700 people, were used to shoot numerous westerns, with Ince helping to popularize the genre. Inceville played a part in establishing the star system and formalizing the roles of director, screenwriter, and editor as separate positions. In a 1961 essay for The Hollywood Reporter, writer Alan Hirschholt recalled how his father, John Hirschholt, landed his first acting gig at Inceville in 1915. It had sprung up like a gold rush town about 15 miles from the midriff of Hollywood. Hirschholt wrote about the studio, which he encountered was a 3-mile walk from the last trolley stop. Its inhabitants included William S. Hart, H.B. Warner, Louise Glam, Charles Ray, a stock company of about 40 actors and some 30 actresses, a tribe of Native Americans, 40 horses, a few assorted directors, a herd, and a two of cattle and one producer. Inceville was damaged by fire in 1916 at the time when a nitrate film was being used was highly flammable. Real estate developer Harry Culver encouraged Ince to move his filmmaking headquarters to Culver City. Ince teamed with partners D.W. Griffin and Max Sennett to open an all-new Triangle Studios in 1916. Ince sold In Seville to Western Star Hart in 1916. Another fire in 1922 largely destroyed the studio and left it in ruins for years to come. After a brief involvement with Adolph Zucker's Paramount Artcraft Pictures, a, pre- a precursor to Paramount Pictures, Ince formed another outfit in Culver City in studios. He himself and ultimately end dying in 1924 in November of heart failure after taking ill while on William Randolph's horse's yacht to celebrate his 44th birthday with a group that included Charlie Chaplin. Ince's death was remained the subject of speculation and was the force of Peter Bogdanovich in oh, I can't remember. The focus of 2001 film The Cat's Meow, which suggests that Harst mistakenly shot in a fit of jealousy over Chaplin's alleged affair with actress Marion Davies. But Ince's work lives on. Three of his films were selected for preservation by the National Film Registry, including the 1916 epic Civilization, and classics like Gone with the Wind and Rebecca would film at the studio he founded at In Studios. In 2017, Amazon acquired the property located on what is now Ince Boulevard. After President Joe Biden's administration says it won't enforce a ban before Donald Trump takes office, the president-elect announced his hope not to let TikTok stay dark. TikTok has restored service in the U.S. less than 24 hours after its nationwide shutdown. On Sunday, January 19th, TikTok announced on X via an official statement shared to its policy account that it is in the process of restoring service to Americans after going dark in the night prior. We thank President Trump for providing the necessary clarity and assurance to our service providers that they will face no penalties, providing TikTok to over 170 million Americans and allowing over 7 million small businesses to thrive, the statement continued, referring to President-elect Donald Trump's recent comments about not letting TikTok stay dark. It's a strong stand for the First Amendment and against arbitrary censorship. Yeah, the statement added. We will work with President Trump on a long-term solution that keeps TikTok in the United States. As of 1 p.m. EST on January 19th, users are able to access the app. A spokesperson for TikTok did not immediately respond to people's requests for more information. With the release of the Nintendo Switch 2 very clearly on the horizon, we're starting to wonder what we'll be playing on it come launch day. So, in the absence of an official day one lineup, why don't we have a good old guess? Nintendo has a well-stocked stable of reliables, and so some of our predictions, such as the arrival of a certain mustached plumber in one form or another, are more likely than not. But we're also hopeful for the reemergence of some previously announced new projects from beloved indie studios. Outside of our picks here, be sure to take a look at all the games reportedly set for the release on Nintendo Switch 2. Now, we know it's too much of a dream to think that all of these games will hit the Switch 2 on day one. But even if we get half of them, we think we're in for a great time when we pick up those new Joy-Cons. Here's what we think Nintendo has in store for us when the Nintendo Switch 2 launches. Over a decade, over a whole decade since past Mario Kart 8 was released for the Wii U, and in that time, it has morphed into the most complete and essential karting game ever created. Thanks to the Switch's Deluxe Edition and several DLC additions boosting the track count up to a whooping 96 circuits. Mario Kart 8 has proved so successful, in fact, that it's both the Wii U and the Switch's best selling game. So, it's fair to say that a new one would be pretty popular. While it was reported to be in development back in 2022 and designed with a new twist, Nintendo has yet to officially confirm the existence of Mario Kart 9. As such, as this stage, we can only guess at what this new twist is, but we're hoping to find out very soon. If Mario Kart 8's decade-long service was a celebration of the entire history of the series, then its successor will hopefully look to the future and introduce fresh, innovative new ideas that will fuel Mario Kart for another decade. Of course, alongside those new ideas, we'd love a release date that coincides with the launch of the Switch 2. If there's a such thing as a system seller, then Mario Kart has proven over the years to be exactly that. Considering the importance of games like Super Mario 64 and Mario Galaxy, you, you'd had thought the Switch would have had more than a single solitary 3D Mario game. But besides the re-release of the Wii U's Super Mario 3D World, the only 3D Mario platformer on Switch has been Super Mario Odyssey, which was released way back in 2027. Way back in 2017, the same year as the Nintendo Switch. We didn't even get any substantial DLC for Odyssey, despite the idea of adding a world or two seeming and uncontestable slam dunk at a time. After such a long wait, then, surely the launch of the Switch 2 is the time for a new plumbing platformer full of wacky abilities, inventive level design, and endless collectibles. While it while it may be greedy of us to hope for both and this and the new Mario Kart on the same day, it would be fantastic statement intent from Nintendo to show us the future direction of arguably and its two most significant Mario series. Failing that, we'd of course take one of them coming a few months after the other. Just please, please don't keep us waiting. It's been over 7 years since we saw that cap and mustache in three beautiful dimensions. Metroid fans have been waiting for what seems like an eternity for Metroid Prime 4. First announced as part of the E3 2017 Nintendo Direct, fans suffered many years of radio silence until its surprise reemergence in 2024. During that time, development of the project had reportedly passed from the Bandai Namco Studios to Retro Studios, the original creators of Metroid Prime series. Now titled Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, its gameplay reveal trailer excited many fans, and even some questioning if what they were seeing was running on the Switch's successor. So smooth was the action. Well, it looks like the Switch 2 will likely be what we'll be playing it on. After all, and we were and we're hoping the long wait for it will end on the console's launch date. Two of the original Switch's biggest hitters, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, will likely find their way onto the new console. We're hoping that backward compatibility will allow for this by adult and keep our fingers crossed for some kind of automatic boost for mode for older games. But we also wouldn't say no to specialty enhanced versions of Link's open world adventures that takes full advantage of the rumored extra powers the Switch 2 possesses. Hyrule in crisp 4K with no frame rate drops? Yes, please. Nintendo always likes to throw a quirker game into a mix around its console launches. Just take one last look at the Switch and its trio of 1-2 switch, snipper clips and arms to see what I mean. One such experiment that came a little later on a hybrid console's lifetime was Ring Fit Adventure, a spiritual successor to the colossally popular Wii Fit that took advantage of the Joy-Con's motion controls to create a turn-on based RPG that was also a fun workout, all in the comfort of your own home. What could so easily have been palmed off as a gimmick went on to sell over 15 million copies and become one of the Switch's most in demand games. With no sequel anywhere to be seen, maybe the launch of the Switch 2 is the perfect place to showcase whatever new unconventional tricks the console and its controllers might have up their sleeve. The original Switch may not have possessed the graphical horsepower to power Capcom's stunning Resident Evil 4 remake, but maybe the Switch 2 can provide a home for Leon Kennedy's glossy Spanish nightmare. One of 2023's best games perhaps wouldn't set the world alight with the launch date arrival, but it would be impressive flex that proved the console's compatibilities. Compatibilities. Most importantly, though, there would be something undeniably poetic about one of the greatest horror games of all time, returning to Nintendo many years after its long legacy began, back on the GameCube. Okay, maybe this one is a little out there, but with Doom and its sequel, Doom Eternal, having their way made to the original Switch, plus Microsoft's ever increasing willingness to launch their games on anything that isn't an Xbox. Doom the Dark Ages on Switch 2 might just happen. We've been so far seeing very little of ID Software's new shooter outside of a short gameplay trailer, but we're set to learn plenty more at the upcoming Xbox Developer Direct. With the release date to be revealed, it could be align itself with the Switch 2s. We're ready to rip and tear on the go. Again. And Bethesda not might be done there either. Reports are swirling of an imminent reveal of a remake of The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion. Another one of Bethesda's celebrated fantasy RPGs, Skyrim, was featured heavily in the reveal of the original Nintendo Switch, so perhaps it wouldn't be too much of the stretch to see its predecessor, Oblivion, appear on the Switch too. If this game is even a real thing that's happening, that is. Speaking of Microsoft branching out, it looks like Master Chief and his collection of classic Halo games may well be making their way onto Switch 2 and PlayStation, if rumors are to be believed. Featuring Halos 1 to 4 plus Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach, it would prove a fantastic opportunity for Nintendo fans to get their hands on some of the best first-person shooter campaigns ever made. Maybe getting the Snake Eater remake at launch might be slightly ambitious, but we wouldn't be shocked to see it land on the Switch 2 later in 2025. Konami's slick glow up of Metal Gear Solid 3 would be more than welcome, and again, another nice return to Nintendo hardware for a series that once it called home all the way back with the first Metal Gear game and its NES port. We're expecting many multi platform games from third party publishers to make their way to Switch 2 during its launch window. Square Enix could release both Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth onto Nintendo's new hardware, and Ubisoft is rumored to be preparing much of their Assassin's Creed back catalog for launch, as well as the entries for Tom Clancy series in the shape of the Division and Rainbow Six Siege. If the Switch is only console you've owned for the past few years, it looks like these publishers might be giving you a lot to catch up on in one go. One of the greatest indie games success stories of all time. Not many games made outside of Nintendo's wall left a bigger footprint on the Switch generation than Stardew Valley. So, what better place is there than the Switch 2 to launch Stardew developer Concerned Ape's upcoming chocolate shop sim? The Haunted Chocolatier. Hmm. In development since 2020, we've had just one gameplay trailer and little else. But the confectionery simulator with the action RPG elements and added ghost seems like the perfect games to eat up hours and handheld time. I mean hours and hours of handheld time, especially if it were up to launch with the Switch 2. Admittedly, a launch day release may be unlikely. Solo developer Eric Barone revealed a few months ago that we hadn't been working on the Haunted Chocolatier for a very long time, so perhaps a launch year window may be slightly more realistic. But it being there on the Switch 2's launch day would be making the world taste good. Look, I just want to be able to play Creepy Willy Wonka game. Okay? My final pick is another follow up to a beloved indie cult classic that found on home on Switch, Celeste. Studio Extremely OK Games is working away on its successor, Earthblade, a 2D explore action game with gorgeous pixel art. While updates have been few and far between, it's not outside the realms of reality that could see this arrive on the Switch 2 at launch. Last year, developer Matty Thorson revealed that it would be released in 2025 at the earliest, so who knows? Maybe it is just waiting to be unleashed alongside some new Nintendo hardware. Those are my picks for what games we hoped and might launch with the Switch 2 later this year. Mufasa the Lion King continues to roar at the box office, where it looks to beat one of them days. The first female led black comedy since 2017's Girls Trip, over the long Martin Luther King Jr. holiday crown as Wolfman gets gouged. The bad news overall, it looks to be one of the slowest Martin Luther King weekends in years, as Hollywood and theaters face another showdown in product for the time being. Most are betting on Disney's Mufasa to prevail and winning the long holiday weekend with an estimated $15 million or more as it celebrates becoming only the second film in 15 years to earn more than $200 million domestically, despite opening to less than $40 million. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for this week, and we'll see you next week on Rainbow Hollywood, a podcast with Caleb Law. Bye.